Like a lot of people, at first I didn't know anything about credit cards. And I didn't know the great deal of value that you could get out of them if you have the right set of credit cards and if you use them correctly. I remember when I first moved to the US, I didn't know anything about the credit card world, and I applied to a secure credit card at BB&T, now Truist, called the Bright credit card. It was the only bank at the time that approved me to get a credit card so I could start building my credit. So, starting with a secure credit card, it's not a bad idea. Just to get started, to build your credit, and after a couple of years, I got an unsecured credit card called the Spectrum Rewards by BB&T as well. When I learned that I could get 1% cashback on everything with this credit card, it blew my mind. Again, I didn't know anything about credit cards, and where I'm from, you don't even get 1% on anything. Usually credit cards don't give you any rewards. And at this time, I was still a college student. And it wasn't up until after 6 years where I really got curious about credit cards because I wanted to start traveling. A family member of mine had a traveler's credit card, and this one got me interested in this world. I started doing more research about credit cards, learning about cashback credit cards, traveler's credit cards, and it blew my mind just to learn how much value you can get out of them. One thing that I regret is not having started earlier, because it makes me think about all the points that I don't have right now because of it. But it's never too late to start. And I'm making this video so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. I want to walk through if I could redo my credit journey, this is what I would do now. One thing, and the most important thing that I would change, is the fact that I used one credit card for literally every expense that I did. Some credit cards are great for groceries, some credit cards are great for dining out, for streaming services, and many other aspects. So one thing that I would have changed, knowing what I know now, is first understanding my expenses, making a list of where I spend the most. And after I get all this down, then I will do research on what credit cards gives you the best rewards based on those expenses. For example, knowing what I know now, for sure I would have started with the Chase Freedom credit cards, with the Chase Freedom Flex or the Chase Freedom Unlimited, because at that time, my biggest expense was dining out. And both of these credit cards give you 3 points for every dollar spent instead of the 1% I was getting on my BB&T credit card. Then, a couple of years after, maybe after I graduate, I would have gotten the Chase Sapphire Preferred with the $95 annual fee and take advantage of the 25% redemption boost when you redeem your points for traveling through the Chase portal. I've always been a fan of traveling the world, and having to know this, I would have saved so much money on the travels that I already did, or I could have even traveled for free. So, this is something to keep in mind at the time of starting your credit card journey. Try to understand your own expenses and get the credit cards that helps you the most with the current expenses that you have. My recommendation will be, I will tell you to start first with no annual fee credit cards if you're new into this world. And as you learn more and more, then you can jump into the higher tier annual fee credit cards. Number 2, another thing that I would change on my credit card journey when I started is not taking advantage of the high welcome bonuses. This situation happened when I applied to the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and honestly, it was my fault because I was desperate. I wanted to have a traveler's credit card fast, and I didn't do a great deal of research on the welcome bonus. It wasn't up until after a couple of weeks that I applied, I realized that instead of the initial welcome bonus, they gave the higher offer where it's the same requirement, but instead of 60,000 points, they gave you 80,000 points. So if you think about it, just by waiting a couple of weeks, I could have made 20,000 points more, but at least I redeemed myself when I applied to the American Express Gold, where the original offer is 60,000 points after you spend $6,000 in the first 6 months of account opening. But I waited and I found the highest offer that they have, which is 90,000 points with the same requirements. A tip I'm gonna give you: if you want to find the better offer faster, you don't have to only wait. What I did, and it worked for me, I was every day looking on Google for the specific credit card that I wanted. I'll talk about the case of the American Express Gold. I was basically Googling this credit card every single day on Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Firefox. Also, I was using incognito mode. And I don't know if this had anything to do, but I have a desktop that is Windows and a laptop that is Apple. And on Apple, I was finding different offers that I was getting on my Windows computer. So if this is your case, I would literally recommend you to look for that credit card every day on the different browsers, on different devices, because sometimes you will find better offers on one device versus the other. And if you're not in a hurry to get that specific credit card, just wait, keep looking for the better offer, and when you find it, apply for it. Another thing that I would have done differently is that when I applied to a credit card, to make sure that when I apply to a second credit card, it's either non-redundant or it doesn't make the previous credit card useless. What I mean by this, what if you have a credit card that you use for certain things, but then you find a better one that covers the exact same categories as the previous credit card, but even better? Then you'll have no point on using your previous credit card. And this happened to me when I applied to the Spectrum Rewards by BB&T, and then when I applied to the Chase Sapphire Preferred credit card. Basically, I stopped using the BB&T credit card because of this. Thankfully, the BB&T credit card, it's a no annual fee credit card, so it technically doesn't affect me. However, you have to be more careful when you do this with annual fee credit cards. And I'll be honest, I was nervous when I applied to the American Express Gold because, like I previously mentioned, my main expenses are dining out. The main reason that I applied to the American Express Gold was to take advantage of the monthly expenses that I did on groceries. However, since the American Express Gold gives me 4 points on dining out versus the 3 points on the Chase Sapphire Preferred, there was no point anymore for me to use the Chase Sapphire Preferred on that specific category. However, after making some analysis, I realized that even though I'm not going to use the Chase Sapphire Preferred that much anymore, I still have the Chase Freedom Flex, where I can take advantage of the quarterly rotating categories on expenses such as groceries, gas stations, PayPal, where then I can accumulate a great deal of points and transfer to the Chase Sapphire Preferred and take advantage of the 25% redemption boost. When I get a credit card, I want to make sure that I at least break even on the annual fee expense, that I make as many points as I need, or I take advantage of the credits that I have to reduce the effective annual fee and try not to waste any money. So with the help of the Chase Freedom Flex, I can easily offset the effective annual fee and get a great deal of value on both of these credit cards. So at the end of the day, it all worked out. I used the American Express Gold for a lot of my groceries and dining out expenses, and then I have my Chase Sapphire Preferred specifically for my streaming services, and the Chase Freedom Flex where I take the full advantage of the quarterly rotating categories. So at the end, it all worked out. And lastly, another thing that I would have done differently is to not apply to a lot of credit cards in a short period of time. One of the reasons is because of Chase 524 rule, where basically they won't allow you to apply to any Chase credit card if you apply to more than 5 credit cards in a period of 24 months. And why does this matter? Because if you apply to too many credit cards, this can make it very difficult for you if you want to maybe start building your own Chase trifecta or get all your Chase credit cards. So this is something to keep in mind. And also, because when you apply to too many credit cards, you have to go through a hard inquiries where basically your lender have to check your credit history, and every time they apply to a credit card, this process will lower your credit score. And this hard inquiry will remain in your credit history for at least 2 years. So you need to keep this in mind, because if you apply to too many credit cards and you reduce your credit score, this might affect your ability to get great interest when it comes to maybe you want to buy a house and get a mortgage or get a loan to buy a new car. So depending what your plans are for the future, make sure that you plan accordingly and don't rush into getting credit cards. At least start with the one that you think is gonna cover most of your expenses, and slowly start building up the perfect setup for you, where then you can cover basically the majority of your expenses and get a lot of value out of it. So if you're starting on your credit card journey, it is very important that you keep these 4 things in mind so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. And even though these mistakes didn't actually affect me, I did wasted a lot of opportunities to get way more points that I currently have by either getting better welcome bonuses or by having started earlier and accumulated more points than I could have had the chance to redeem today. And if you're already in the credit card game and you've been for a long time, don't worry, you still have a chance to fix maybe some of these mistakes if you're currently doing them, and still get a great deal of value out of your credit card setup that you currently have. I really hope you liked my video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up, and leave any comments or questions that you might have. I really hope to see you soon.